Here's me as a child, and here's me now. Happy, right? You're probably asking what happened to miniature Elizabeth, but for the most part, I was actually a really happy child. My parents worked their butts off so that I could get the proper education, and I had an older sister, so that meant that I received most of the attention growing up, being that I was the youngest. My parents were able to provide for me education through a Catholic school system up until my high school years, where I had to transition from such an environment to one that was completely out of my comfort zone. Public schools. This isn't saying that public schools are really bad, but it was just different. I had to leave all of my friends at St. Nicholas, who went on to their chosen private high schools. So that meant that I was left in the dark coming into Butler, and I wasn't ready for change. That was until I met my amazing group of friends now. If I hadn't come to Butler, I don't think I'd be able to be with my friends now and discover my artistic talent. If it weren't for Butler, I wouldn't have had friends with whom I can talk to every second of the day, who are by my side every day, whether to pester me or to just be there and listen to me rant. And although I was sad leaving my Catholic school environment, I can say it was probably for the best. Most people may not know this, but my family has sufficient financial problems. It got really bad when my dad's furniture store went bankrupt. And to make matters worse on them, they had to pay this hefty tuition that Catholic schools apparently need, for God knows what. And then came more trouble. Shortly after my dad's store shut down, my parents decided to get a divorce because of my dad's infidelity. Here comes more change. Great, right? No, not for me. My dad left the house the next day, and since then has refused to go through with the divorce. My mom, my selfless mother, she tried really hard to keep a straight relationship with my dad for our sake. She didn't want us to go without a father figure, and so she put her emotions aside and still provides for him with money for the week, as well as proper foods for his health needs, because he's a diabetic and he has high blood pressure. If it weren't for my mom's sacrifices, I don't think I'd be able to have a good relationship with my dad. And if it weren't for her, I would have held so much resentment for him. But after some time, I began to realize that he was just a man who made bad decisions. But because of this matter, my mom began to work her butt off even more, because after some years, my dad was laid off from his work as maintenance for a set of apartments, and he didn't have the proper education to have a stable job. Our financial problems left us to be in debt with possibly every family member in the house, and I have about 8 other aunts and uncles. This caused my mom to work every day of the week, and so she became too stressed. But the woman persevered. She continued to provide for all of my years in my extracurricular activities, one being my youth group. And for the most part, some of you guys know that I belong to a Vietnamese youth group. She did this so I wouldn't lose my roots, as most typical Asian American teenagers would. That is probably why I know more Vietnamese than most American-born Vietnamese people. But besides this point, my youth group allows me to stay grounded. They are like my home away from home. So because of that fact, I honestly wouldn't even call it a youth group, because while we only see each other at church, I have to say that I am possibly closer to them than I am with my own friends at school, with whom I see every day. So this is where I talk about the Asians. They are my complete backbone, and they have been there for me through every step of the way during my said difficult childhood. And I honestly can't say I would see my life being without my youth group. They are practically the only constant that I have in this so changing world, and from them, I was able to meet one of my absolute best friends. My point is, change is not something everyone deals well with, and I know for a fact I didn't like everything that was going on in my life. But what I had figured from this was that when you face adversities, you just have to stick through it and not try to run away and escape, because every missing puzzle in your life will come to show itself and allow you to see that dwelling on unfortunate events will only cause you unhappiness. So why be unhappy when you have so much to be grateful for?
Y'all are ugly.